You don't have to fire a single round to end up behind bars. Some of the harshest gun laws on the books target honest mistakes, not criminal intent. So ask yourself this: could the carry piece in your glove box, the mag in your range bag, or one bad answer on a background check destroy your future? In this video, we'll talk about 10 real-world laws that are landing gun owners in courtrooms across America. We'll show how a cheap Glock switch can turn into a federal machine gun charge, how a forgotten pistol at TSA can wipe out your savings, and why modifying your AR the wrong way might trigger a felony. These aren't theoretical problems for other people. These are the legal traps legal gun owners like you and me walk into every single day. Don't let a technicality cost you everything. Learn how to spot these laws before they wreck your life. Every year, the ATF seizes thousands of tiny metal plates and 3D printed tabs that do one thing: turn a semi-auto pistol or carbine into a machine gun. The agency calls them conversion devices. Online sellers label them as airsoft parts or precision backplates. But federal law treats each one as a complete, unregistered machine gun the moment it crosses state lines in a package with your name on it. The National Firearms Act has been crystal clear on this point since 1934. A conversion device doesn't need to be installed. It doesn't even have to be near a firearm. Simple possession is enough to trigger a felony charge. Think about how easily curiosity can become catastrophe. A friend at the range shows a switch the size of a thumbnail. You tuck it in your range bag for a closer look later, and that 5-second decision carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in federal prison plus a potential $250,000 fine. Prosecutors don't need to prove criminal intent. The statute operates on strict liability. Even the packaging dust from a disassembled switch can be admitted as evidence, because courts have ruled that readily restorable items meet the machine gun definition. Enforcement trends have accelerated since 2020. Customs and Border Protection scans containers for part numbers tied to Asian dropshippers. Local departments now coordinate with ATF crime gun intelligence centers, matching seized switches to shell casings collected from drive-by shootings. Gun owners get caught in the dragnet whenever an anonymous tip, a traffic stop, or an Instagram post reveals a switch that looked cool. Boarding a flight already feels stressful. Take off your shoes, empty your pockets, shuffle forward under fluorescent lights. That routine pressure explains why otherwise responsible carriers forget a pistol tucked beneath a sweatshirt in a laptop compartment. TSA agents, however, remain focused on X-ray silhouettes. Once a firearm appears on that screen, the agents halt the line, call a supervisor, and your travel plans detonate on the spot. The numbers prove the scale of the lapse. In 2023, TSA officers intercepted roughly 6,700 firearms at checkpoints, and 93% were loaded. Atlanta, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Houston led the list, though the problem spans rural airports too. Federal regulations authorize civil penalties that start at $1,500 for an unloaded gun in carry-on gear. If a live round sits in the chamber or a loaded magazine is inserted, the fine doubles to $3,000. Repeat offenders risk as much as $17,000 plus referral to state prosecutors. Florida and Georgia rarely charge first-time violators criminally, but a missed flight, public humiliation, and months of administrative wrangling feel punishment enough. In states with mandatory jail provisions, such as New York, travelers face arraignment, confiscation, and a criminal record. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives designed Form 4473 to record every retail firearm transaction in the United States. Most buyers skim the form, check no all the way down, and slide it back across the glass counter. That easy rhythm conceals serious landmines: a forgotten misdemeanor domestic violence conviction from college, a restraining order you thought expired, or occasional recreational marijuana in a legal state. Answering no when the truthful answer is yes invites a felony indictment. The Gun Control Act sets the stakes: up to 10 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. The Department of Justice rarely prosecutes accidental misstatements because backlogs already overwhelm attorney offices, but rarely does not equal never. When prosecutors choose to make an example, the defendant's life unravels. Legal fees soar past the cost of a car within weeks, and plea bargains still carry years of probation plus a lifelong loss of gun rights. Many buyers assume an expunged record wipes the slate clean. Federal databases often retain those entries, If a NX examiner sees domestic assault, dismissed, the transaction goes to delayed status until a deeper investigation resolves the ambiguity. People in states where cannabis is recreationally lawful face a different trap. The question reads, are you an unlawful user of, or addicted to, marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? Federal law classifies marijuana as Schedule 1. Replying no while holding a medical card is perjury in ATF eyes. Magazine limits rarely affect daily carry routines in free states. Ranges in Texas, Arizona, or Idaho run full of shooters topping off 30-round AR mags without a second thought. Drive a few hundred miles into California or New Jersey and that same magazine transmutes into contraband. The law isn't theoretical. Motorists face confiscation, arrest, and life-disrupting court dates for what amounts to a spring-fed metal box. California set its limit at 10 rounds in 2000. Subsequent litigation created brief windows of legality, but the current ban remains in force pending appellate review. Penalties include fines of $100 per magazine and misdemeanor charges carrying up to a year in county jail. New Jersey and Washington impose fines up to $10,000 and possible felony records. Police don't need proof you intended harm. Simple possession inside state borders triggers the offense. Tourists and new residents form the bulk of arrests. Movers load household goods into a rental truck, forget a shoebox of Glock mags in the dresser, cross the state line, and fall under an anonymous tip or routine traffic stop. Competitive shooters headed to matches sometimes rely on event exemptions, yet a paperwork hiccup or an officer unfamiliar with sport exceptions can still seize gear. The loudest sound in the universe is an unexpected gunshot. Courts label that event a negligent discharge when the shooter had no intention to fire and acted without reasonable care. A single round punching a parking lot pavement or piercing drywall can reclassify a law-abiding citizen as a criminal defendant. Penalties run the gamut. South Carolina law allows fines starting at $200 and 30 days in jail for a discharge with no injuries. If the round strikes a dwelling or any occupied structure, the charge escalates rapidly. Prosecutors may stack reckless endangerment counts, yielding sentences of up to 10 years. States such as Arizona apply Shannon's Law provisions that treat random gunfire inside city limits as a Class 6 felony even without injury. Should a child or bystander suffer harm, negligent discharge morphs into aggravated assault or manslaughter. Most incidents trace to predictable lapses. Pocket carry without a holster lets keys snag triggers. Appendix carriers reholster too quickly and seat the trigger on a folded shirt. Shotguns leaning against pickup beds slip and fire when a tailgate slams. Modern striker-fired pistols require trigger pressure to discharge, yet finger discipline erodes when adrenaline surges or alcohol creeps into social gatherings. Congress passed the Firearm Owners Protection Act in 1986, partially to prevent rogue states from harassing through-traveling gun owners. The act guarantees that a person legally entitled to possess a firearm in their origin and destination may transport it through intermediate jurisdictions, but that guarantee comes with strict conditions. The firearm must be unloaded, locked in a container other than the glove box or console, and inaccessible to the driver. Ammunition must ride in a separate, locked container. When law enforcement pulls you over, any deviation invites state charges regardless of federal intent. New York and New Jersey remain notorious for sidestepping FOPA. Prosecutors argue that once you exit your vehicle, checking into a hotel, or stopping for fuel, the journey ceases to be continuous, voiding federal protection. Courts have occasionally sided with travelers, yet legal victories follow months of jail, confiscation, and five-figure attorney bills. Mandatory minimum sentencing in New Jersey can impose 3-year prison terms for possessing a handgun without a state permit, even if the owner holds valid carry licenses elsewhere. Parents juggle hectic schedules. You clock out, race across town, slip into the pickup queue, answer a final work email, and remember too late that your everyday carry sits in the center console. Federal law does carve out an exception for licensed carriers within private vehicles, but states often pile stricter rules atop that baseline. In South Carolina, a concealed weapon permit does not exempt you from the 5-year prison sentence and $5,000 fine attached to bringing any firearm onto K-12 property. Resource officers occasionally discover violations during random checks or when a student reports seeing a holster clip. Even a locked glove box may not save you if state statutes demand the firearm remain unloaded and secured in a trunk. Prosecutors rarely display leniency. They argue school zones deserve the highest level of protection, and courts tend to agree. Balancing parental responsibility and personal security starts with tactic rather than bravado. Some carriers opt for a quick safe at home, collecting the gun after school pickup before evening errands. Others favor small lock boxes bolted in trunks, allowing immediate compliance with state transport laws while keeping a defensive firearm available minutes later. Knowledge of local statute language absolutely matters. Some states define school grounds to include adjacent sidewalks and parking lots. Modern modular firearms tempt owners to tinker. A pistol brace feels loose, so you swap it for a collapsible stock. The angled handstop looks awkward, so you install a vertical grip. Suddenly, a firearm that started life as a pistol under federal definitions now meets the metrics of a short-barreled rifle, a barrel shorter than 16 inches or an overall length under 26, combined with a shoulder stock or vertical grip. If that transformation happened without filing ATF Form 1, paying $200, and securing approval, congratulations, you just created an unregistered NFA item. Penalties mirror those for machine gun possession, up to 10 years in prison and fines exceeding $10,000. The ATF does not accept ignorance as an excuse. Recent brace rule turmoil illustrates the agency's shifting interpretations, yet courts continue to uphold prosecutions when evidence shows a combination of short barrel, shoulderable stock, and foregrip. Responsible parents teach children respect for firearms, yet curiosity remains powerful. Many states reinforce that lesson in statute through child access prevention laws. These provisions mandate locked storage whenever minors could reasonably gain access. Penalties escalate if a child actually handles the weapon, and they skyrocket if a discharge causes injury. Consider a scenario. A pistol rests on a nightstand while you mow the lawn. Your teenager's friend spots the gun, racks the slide, and posts a selfie. Even if no round sits in the chamber, prosecutors may charge you with reckless endangerment or unlawful storage. Massachusetts treats unsecured firearms as a misdemeanor punishable by fine and confiscation, while Florida can classify the same oversight as a felony if injury results. Civil liability follows criminal exposure, opening paths for seven-figure judgments. Secure storage needn't demolish readiness. Quick access safes open via RFID tags, biometric pads, or simplex dials in under 2 seconds. Long guns benefit from corner vaults, anchoring shotguns in cruiser-ready posture with muzzle down and action locked. Education complements hardware. Age-appropriate training classes demystify guns, lowering the odds of clandestine exploration. Federal law prohibits firearm possession by felons, fugitives, unlawful drug users, persons adjudicated mentally defective, individuals under certain restraining orders, and more. The prohibition applies regardless of state restoration, unless those rights are explicitly expunged or pardoned. Possessing ammunition alone constitutes a separate violation under 18 U.S.C. 922 G. Courts interpret possession broadly. Constructive possession, having the ability to exercise control over a firearm, meets the standard. A rifle locked in a roommate's closet can result in charges if your fingerprints appear on the safe keypad. Sentences reach 10 years in federal prison, and under the Armed Career Criminal Act, repeat offenders face mandatory minimum 15-year terms. Defense strategies hinge on proving lack of knowledge or control, yet juries rarely sympathize when a gun appears in shared living spaces. Even antique firearms qualify unless classified as pre-1899 curios and relics under separate code sections. Life throws curveballs. A nonviolent felony from youth might seem irrelevant decades later, yet the statute remains unforgiving. Petitions for rights restoration differ by state. Some require gubernatorial pardons. Others offer automatic reinstatement after set intervals. Federal relief ceased in 1992 when Congress stopped funding the application process, leaving individuals to navigate labyrinthine pardon boards. So there it is, 10 gun laws that send good people to jail over simple mistakes. From TSA mishaps to braced pistols, banned mags to misunderstood paperwork. These aren't rare cases. They're happening across the country to people just like you. Have you ever had a run-in with one of these rules? Got a horror story to tell? Sound off in the comments. Hit like if this helped you stay legal, share it with every gun owner you know, And make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Stay sharp, stay lawful, and we'll catch you in the next one.